In a fresh turn of events, the Russian Defense Ministry has released new footage to counter Ukraine's claims. A video shows Viktor Sokolov, the commander of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, attending a video conference. This comes a day after Ukrainian special forces said they had killed him. Ukraine claimed that he was killed last Friday during an attack on Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters. Small protests were staged outside multiple Indian diplomatic missions in Canada on Monday. About 100 protesters burned the Indian flag and defaced a cardboard cutout of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The protesters were also seen carrying flags of the Khalistani separatist movement. Last week, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Indian agents may be involved in the murder of pro-Khalistan separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Speaker of Canada's House of Commons has apologized to the chamber. This is for praising an individual at a parliamentary meeting who served in a Nazi unit during World War II. Last week, Speaker Anthony Rota recognized 98-year-old Yaroslav Hunka as a Ukrainian hero before the Canadian Parliament. After this, Jewish human rights groups demanded an apology from Canada. South Korea put on its first large-scale military parade in a decade. Weapons ranging from ballistic missiles to tanks were displayed during the event. The parade marked South Korea's Armed Forces Day. It's usually a muted affair. The 2-kilometer parade through Seoul's main commercial and business district attracted a huge crowd. Meanwhile, the country hosted senior diplomats from China and Japan in a rare trilateral meeting. The meeting aimed to set the stage for the resumption of three-way summits between the countries' leaders. This comes amid Japan and South Korea's tightening cooperation between themselves and the US. The Philippines says it has executed a special operation to remove a floating barrier in the South China Sea. The Philippines had accused China of installing the barrier. A long ball buoy barrier was installed in a disputed area of the sea called the Scarborough Shoal. Footage released by the Philippine Coast Guard also showed several Chinese vessels near the barrier. Manila said this prevented Filipino fishermen from entering the area. US President Joe Biden is hosting leaders from Pacific Island nations at the White House for a summit. Yesterday, the US established diplomatic relations with the Pacific Island countries, Cook Islands and Niue. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken also signed agreements with prime ministers from both nations. A large fire broke out after an explosion at a fuel depot in Nagorno-Karabakh. Local reports say the incident has left at least 20 dead and injured more than 290 people. The majority of the victims were in severe or extremely severe conditions. It was not immediately clear what caused the blast. Nagorno-Karabakh is a disputed area in Azerbaijan, which is home to mostly ethnic Armenian people. Tensions have flared up in the region after Azerbaijan reclaimed full control of it last week. Meanwhile, more Armenian families continue to exit the disputed region. The Armenians of Karabakh began fleeing last week after their forces were defeated. So far, more than 13,000 people have fled. The United States has called on Azerbaijan to protect the rights of civilians and let humanitarian aid into the region. 2 men have been arrested for being a part of a shootout with the police in northern Kosovo. They were brought before a judge in the capital, Pristina. A lawyer for one of the suspects said that his client was ordered to 30 days of pre-trial detention. On Sunday, a shootout between Kosovar police and ethnic Serb gunmen resulted in the death of 4 people. The Mexican government has sent over 1,500 security officials, including the National Guard, Army and police, to the country's south. This is to tighten security in the area amid increasing crime. This comes after a video from southern Mexico went viral over the weekend. The video showed a convoy of armed drug cartel members being applauded by local residents for driving out a rival cartel. Ronson Chan, the head of Hong Kong's leading journalists group, has been sentenced to 5 days in jail. This is for obstructing police officers in September last year. Chan was detained and handcuffed by 2 police officers while covering a story after he failed to hand over his personal ID card. He also had to surrender his travel documents and now cannot leave Hong Kong. Anand Nampa, a prominent activist and lawyer from Thailand, has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. Anand is famous for his open calls to reform Thailand's powerful monarchy. Thailand has a stringent law that shields the palace from criticism. It carries a maximum prison sentence of 15 years for insulting the Thai monarchy. In climate news, an intense storm struck the South African city of Cape Town yesterday. Officials say several people are missing and search operations are underway. Heavy rainfall also brought flash floods and damaged houses and buildings. Officials have issued a warning indicating the possibility of further flooding. Heavy rainfall caused a river to break its banks in the Central American nation of Guatemala. Officials say at least 6 people were killed after several homes were swept away by flash floods. Almost 15 people are still missing as rescue operations are underway. Residents in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro cooled off in swimming pools amid an ongoing heat wave. Temperatures have touched 41 degrees Celsius despite it being winter in Brazil. Officials have advised residents to limit outdoor activity. Brazil has been facing a winter heat wave for over a week now. Chile has raised an amber alert around areas near the volcano Villarrica. An amber alert means there is a greater probability of eruption. The alert was issued after an increase in volcanic activity was noticed. Villarrica last erupted in 2015, prompting the evacuation of thousands of residents. Scientists say that ice around Antarctica will hit record low levels this winter. They added that the impact of global warming was ramping up at the South Pole. Researchers warn that the decline in ice can have dire consequences for animals like penguins. French President Emmanuel Macron unveiled a new ecological plan worth almost $9 billion yesterday. Macron says the purpose of the plan is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in France by 55%. Macron added that France will end the use of coal for powering electricity by 2030. Australia is on track to add 3 gigawatts of rooftop solar capacity in residential buildings to its electricity grid. At least 160,000 households got rooftop solar systems this year. Australia says the demand for residential solar panel systems has risen by almost 40%. Now on to business and tech news. US President Joe Biden has said that the black community would suffer the most in case of a government shutdown. This can happen if the US Congress does not provide a funding plan before September 30th. Congress must approve new spending bills before that deadline. Failing to do this can cause large swathes of the US government to temporarily close on October 1st. Meanwhile, Biden said he supports America's United Auto Workers Union strike against the Detroit 3 automakers. Biden added UAW workers should benefit from the industry's rekindling growth post the pandemic slump. On September 15th, the union began their strikes against Ford, General Motors and Stellantis. They've been demanding a pay hike of 40%. Reports say the US markets regulator is collecting thousands of messages from the staff of more than a dozen investment companies. These included conversations via platforms like WhatsApp, Signal and other messengers. This comes as the Securities and Exchange Commission escalates its probe into the use of private messaging apps for official work. Authorities in China have reportedly ordered a senior banker at financial firm Nomura Holdings to not leave the country. Charles Wang Zhonghe has been given the exit ban. He's the investment banking chairman of Nomura's China business. It was not immediately clear when the exit ban was put in place. The pilots' union at Australia's Qantas Airways has demanded that the company's chairman, Richard Goyder, resign. The Australian and International Pilots Association has written to the airline's new CEO, Vanessa Hudson, regarding the issue. The AIPA represents most of Qantas's roughly 3,000 pilots. Their demand for Goyder's resignation comes as Qantas finds itself embroiled in a host of scandals. Amazon executive Dave Limp will take over as the CEO of Jeff Bezos' space company, Blue Origin. This is after its present chief, Bob Smith, steps down near the end of this year. Limp will take over his new role on December 4th. He was a former senior vice president at Amazon who led the company's consumer devices unit. Apple supplier Pegatron has paused operations at its factory in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. The company has asked its workers not to report to work for the second day straight. This comes after a fire had broken out in the factory on Sunday. The fire has since been put out. Amazon Prime Video has said it will roll out advertisements on its platform from next year. The US tech giant has said that ads will be introduced in the US, UK, Germany and Canada in early 2024. They will then be expanded to France, Italy, Spain, Mexico and Australia later in the year. Amazon has also said that it will hike the prices of its ad-free subscriptions. Amazon says it will invest up to $4 billion in the artificial intelligence startup Anthropic. As a part of the deal, Amazon's employees and cloud customers will gain early access to Anthropic's technology. This comes as rivals like Microsoft and Google are also strengthening their foothold in the AI sector. OpenAI's ChatGPT is due to get a major update. This will enable the chatbot to have voice conversations with users and interact using images. With this, ChatGPT is now expected to compete with the likes of Apple's Siri and Amazon's Alexa. Moving to sports, let's start with the Asian Games updates. India have secured another gold medal. The mixed equestrian team beat China and Hong Kong in the dressage event. This is the first time in 41 years that India have won a gold in a horse riding sport at the Asian Games. India's Neha Thakur won a silver in the girls' dinghy sailing event. The 17-year-old Indian lost to her Thai opponent by 11 points. Thakur narrowly edged past her Singaporean opponent by 1 point to secure silver. Meanwhile, another Indian sailor won at the Asian Games. Ibad Ali clinched the bronze in the men's windsurfer sailing event. The Indian came third behind a Thai opponent and gold medalist Wonwoo Cho from South Korea. Moving on to other sports now. In cricket, Pakistan's cricket squad were issued visas to travel to India yesterday. The Pakistan team will arrive in India tomorrow for the Cricket One-Day International World Cup. Pakistan will play their first warm-up match against New Zealand on Friday in the Indian city of Hyderabad. Sri Lankan all-rounder Wanindu Hasaranga is likely to miss the Cricket World Cup. The team's doctor says Hasaranga has not yet recovered from a hamstring injury that he suffered last month. Hasaranga's absence would be a major setback for Sri Lanka. He was the leading wicket-taker for his team in the last two T20 World Cups. In football, the US women's team beat South Africa 2-0 in yesterday's match. The game was an emotional one as the US squad bid farewell to their star player Megan Rapinoe. The 38-year-old striker played international football for 17 years. She played for the US national team in 203 games and scored 63 goals. Rapinoe also captained the American team when they won the 2015 and 2019 Women's World Cups. Arsenal's manager Mikel Arteta has confirmed that midfielder Declan Rice has suffered a back injury. Arteta added that the further assessments on the severity of the injury were being made. Rice has now become the fifth big player in Arsenal to be injured this season in a big setback for the Gunners. In Ligue 1, hosts Paris Saint-Germain beat Marseille 4-0 in yesterday's match. Achraf Hakimi scored early in the 8th minute to give PSG an early lead. In the 23rd, striker Kylian Mbappe suffered an ankle injury and was forced off the field. Before halftime, PSG increased their lead with a goal in the 37th. In the second half, Goncalo Ramos, who replaced Mbappe, scored a double for PSG as they put up a commanding display. MotoGP riders say they're happy with their experience in India. The Grand Prix of India winner Marco Bezzecchi says he really liked the track. He lauded the Indian fans and said that he really enjoyed how loud they were. Marco Bezzecchi was the winner of the inaugural Grand Prix of India, which took place on Sunday. In golf, Bryson DeChambeau won the Live Golf Chicago title. He beat India's Anirban Lahiri by one shot to clinch the title. Along with the trophy, the American took home a cash prize of over $4 million. This is DeChambeau's second Live Golf win. He also won the Live Golf Greenbrier in August. In entertainment news, the makers of Dancing with the Stars have decided to move ahead with their TV show's premiere today. This comes after the WGA reached a tentative agreement with studios to end the strike. Talk shows like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel Live may also resume within days. The Writers Guild of America, or WGA, has been on strike since May this year. The Hollywood Screen Actors Guild, called the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, or SAG-AFTRA, has now voted to strike against video game companies. The SAG-AFTRA members plan to strike against 10 video game companies. Over 98% of the members voted in favor of the strike. The SAG-AFTRA president said that the companies need to stop playing games and get serious about negotiations. SAG-AFTRA has also been on strike against the TV and film industries since July this year. American comedian and actor Kathy Griffin took to social media and accused comedian Russell Brand of sexually assaulting her friend. Griffin called him a sleazebag for his actions. The comedian explained that he groped her friend during an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Towards the end of the video, Griffin said, and I quote, "It has taken forever to catch up with that sleazebag." A temporary agreement has been reached in the ongoing custody battle between English actor Sophie Turner and American singer Joe Jonas. Turner and Jonas have made the decision to keep their daughters in New York City. The reports come days after Turner lodged a complaint against Jonas, saying that he wrongfully retained her daughters by withholding their passports. Earlier this month, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner decided to separate after 4 years of marriage. English actor Kate Beckinsale has confronted cyber trolls who have targeted her online. In a statement shared on social media, the 50-year-old actress disclosed the persistent bullying she faces. Beckinsale's detailed social media post serves as a powerful response to her harassers, particularly addressing male offenders. The actor also expressed her gratitude for the overwhelming support she has received. Emma Hemming, the wife of American actor Bruce Willis, publicly spoke about his dementia for the first time. Hemming was on a TV show ahead of World Frontotemporal Dementia Awareness Week. Hemming said that dementia is hard and she doesn't know if Willis is aware of what's happening to him. Hemming said, and I quote, "It's hard to know." Willis was diagnosed with dementia earlier this year. After the diagnosis, Willis decided to take a step back from acting. Driver Ryan Koss pleads not guilty in the American actor Treat Williams' death case. Koss's car allegedly collided with Williams' bike in the town of Dorset in the U.S. state of Vermont on June 12th this year. 35-year-old Koss has been charged for negligent driving that led to the actor's death. Actor Treat Williams was known for his roles in Hair and Everwood. Musician and astrophysicist Brian May said he helped NASA's team bring back the samples of asteroid Bennu to Earth. May added that he was immensely proud to be a member of OSIRIS-REx spacecraft's team. The 76-year-old guitarist contributed by helping the team identify where the sample can be taken. Brian May was the lead guitarist of the famous rock band Queen. Italian fashion designer Donatella Versace criticized Italy's anti-LGBTQ+ laws during Milan Fashion Week. Versace said in her speech that the government is trying to take away people's rights to live. After Versace concluded, the audience praised her with a standing ovation. The Italian government, under Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, has rolled out several laws restricting the rights of LGBTQ+ community. Scottish actor David McCullum passed away on Monday. He was 90 years old and died due to natural causes. McCullum rose to fame in the 1960s with his role as a Russian spy in the show The Man from U.N.C.L.E. 40 years later, McCullum found stardom again as an eccentric doctor in the series NCIS.